Mantra. Chant, peace chant. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, what is visible is the infinite. What is invisible is also infinite. Out of the infinite being, the finite has come. Yet, being infinite, only infinite remains. In our last study, we saw that the Upanishad exhorted us to look upon the whole world as covered by the Lord himself, or the reality itself. Isha vasyam idam sarvam. Everything, cover everything with the divine. And enjoy the world. Enjoy the world through renunciation. We know what sustains us is not what we renounce, but what we possess. So possess God and enjoy the world. This is what the first mantra said. And the second mantra, knowing that all are not equally, okay? It's slowly it will come, the voice will raise. So the second mantra says all are not in the same stages of evolution. So there are a vast majority of the people who can't have this vision, and to whom the world of multiplicity, their own body, mind, is the only reality. As such, they are bound to enter into this world and enjoy it. And due to their, what do you call, intensity or the indulgence in the sense of, they may deviate from the path of the evolution itself. They may even go lower in the scale of it. So that is why the Upanishad cautions. You will go into darker regions if you negate the ever-present spiritual datum, the principle, the subject, the eternal substance, what you are and truly are. If you lose sight of it, you'll go to darker regions. This is what the Upanishad, even in other mantras, it's going to say. And then it explained to us the nature of the Atman. All paradoxical. Can you just put just the fifth one? Can you get it? Okay, doesn't matter. So it said, Tadejati tannajati tadure. It moves, it does not move. It is far, it is near. It is inside, it is outside. All sorts of paradoxical words are used in order to explain something which cannot be explained. Infinity is something of experience. It's not for explanation. When you try to explain, you always fall short. Because our minds are so, what do you call, built that it can grasp only the finite things. However much deeper we may go into it, still we cannot cross the barriers of time and space. So our mind and intellect is confined to this. So when the rishis wanted to explain to us, give us the idea of infinity, so they had to use only the language either of negation or of paradox. If they say the Atman is not this, Atman is not that, Atman is not body, it's not the mind, it's not the intellect. So no, negate. Either the language of negation or a paradoxical language is used. All is meant enabling us to grasp the infinity. And finally, and this has been all explained or told from the point of ultimate reality. And what will the world look like, the universe look like for a person who has realized? This is what is being explained in the 6th mantra of this Upanishad. The 6th mantra. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmanyevanu pashyati sarva bhuteshu chatmanam tato na vijigupsate. So yastu sarvani bhutani atmanyevanu pashyati sarva bhuteshu chatmanam tato na vijigupsate. The wise behold all beings in the self, and the self in all beings. For that reason, they do not hate anyone. And the next mantra also is very beautiful. These two mantras, they form the foundation for all the ethical and moral values of the world. And this is an exalted state where a person realizes absolute reality and his expression. How does he deal with the universe? This is the wise man or a sadhaka, an aspirant who has with determination, purity, and obsession for the truth, for the knowledge. When such a person attains to the realization of the Atman, he realizes all beings as not distinct from himself, from his own self, and his own self as the self of all beings. And by virtue of this vision, he does not hate anybody. That's the word. Hate is a very, very hard word. So the Upanishad is using, because we have seen what hate can do. The history of the world, if we see, what is that? Hate. This has been. That's why when this Atman is realized, that is the, what do you call, it's a thorn to the humanity. So that is overcome. That's the great blessing of this realization. All beings has his own self. Means what? From Ishvara, from God himself, we find our identity with God. Isn't I am in you, you are in me. Doesn't the devotee say? I am in you. So this identity, it's like an Advaita. Even with your own Ishta, you become one. I am in you, you are in me. This is from the unmanifest Prakriti, Ishvara, down to the grass. You see, we say when Sri Ramakrishna says when one has that type of awareness, identity with everything. Somebody walked on the grass and Sri Ramakrishna felt the pain. It's a very, he says, however exalted, that experience is very painful. Somebody went and hit and he felt the pain. So this can, so to that extent, one can feel one's identity from God, unmanifest Prakriti, Ishvara, to down to the blade of grass. That is the extent of your awareness, expansion, the vastness of your experience. Of course, it goes beyond that too. But for us to understand, the book says, because everything, all names and forms are superimposed on the pure spirit, the awareness, the Atman. There's absolutely no separateness. In the Katha Upanishad, Neha Nanasti Kenchana, there is nothing whatsoever multiplicity. The Katha Upanishad, when we read, we studied. Absolutely, there is no multiplicity at all from the point of highest realization, it says. And then Sarva Bhuteshu Chatmanam, his own self as the self of all beings, as witness, as pure consciousness. I animate this whole body. It's I animating this body, isn't it? If I walk out of the body, it will be lying. Dead, dull matter. It's the consciousness, it's the awareness, it's the chit that is animating this body. So in the same way, I animate through all the bodies. Just imagine the vastness of the experience is beyond our imagination. And all ethics, all moral values arise from this. This is the root. Values are always eternal. A person truly established in this experience by virtue of this knowledge does not hate. There's no room for hatredness at all, because hatredness comes from the ignorance and its effect multiplicity. I am different from you. You are different from me. Then all the mischief begins. And I need not tell you, just because you differ a bit different from me in your ideas, or your skin is different from my skin, we know what atrocities humankind has done. Humans have done more atrocities to humans than any other nature, any other force can do. All because of this dangerous word called as hatred. So its root is in ignorance, in multiplicity, in exclusiveness, separateness. And this separateness makes us narrow, secretive, hiding, exploitation. All the evils arise from this one wrong vision, wrong understanding. That is, multiplicity is real, separateness is real. This is the root cause of all the evils. So the knowledge of oneness is the ultimate panacea for all these evils. So when this experience is given to us, how does it experience? It's only way this vision expresses itself is through universal love and service free. You spontaneously serve humanity. There's nothing, no recognition, no want, nothing. Spontaneously, every act of ours becomes a service to the humanity, an adoration. We have the story in the Bhagavata. When the demons and the devas started churning the mountain, the ocean to get the elixir. So, and it's our evil propensities, good propensities, you all know that. Devas and asuras were there. And life itself is this ocean, and we start churning. So when they churned, many good things came. They appropriated them to themselves, many of the good things. But when the poison came, because life will emanate poison too. It's not always if life will bring good things. Many poisons come out. Then all ran away, could not tackle it. All went where? They went to Shiva. And what was Shiva doing at that time? He was meditating. And they went and prayed to him. And there, that woke him up. And when he opened his eyes and saw the situation, he saw his own self in all of them. And their suffering became his suffering. So to alleviate their suffering, he was ready to drink the poison. And he could digest that poison. Drinking poison is easy. Digesting the poison is. The digestion of that poison is possible only with this awareness of the unity, our vastness, our infinite nature. It is only this awareness can digest the poisons of life. The poisons of life, hatred is the worst poison that the humanity is suffering with. So this can be overcome only through this knowledge of the self, our infinite divine nature. Yes. 7th mantra. Yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaiva bhut vijanatha tatra ko moha kashoka ekatvam anupashyata. So yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaiva bhut vijanatha tatra ko moha kashoka ekatvam anupashyata. To the seer, all things have verily become the self. What delusion, what sorrow can there be for them who behold that oneness? Truly, what delusion, what sorrow can be there for that aspirant who has realized his oneness, his infinite nature, the unity of all the self or existence itself. He has perceived his own self in all. So this is the vast vision. So what grief, what delusion can be there? It says, grief and delusion again springs from separateness, ignorance of our true nature, and its result, ignorance is the cause, and the effect is multiplicity. Multiplicity of the universe, this beings. This is the effect of ignorance. This separateness is the, as I said, is the root cause for all our weakness, our hatred, our helplessness, our stress. Everything comes from this wrong idea, with this wrong idea. So all ethics, spirituality, morality, everything tells us oneness of our existence. But this separateness, Sri Ramakrishna used to say, unity, knowledge leads to unity. Ignorance leads to diversity. And we all know Christ said, love your neighbor as your own self. Then we would ask, who is my neighbor? Vedanta would tell, your neighbor is yourself. There's nothing, nobody apart from you. You are the one life, one existence. So that's the conclusion of the Vedanta. So one realizes oneself as pure spirit, awareness, infinite self, one and non-dual. Then we are able to raise ourselves from this pettiness and the trivialities of life. If not, the trivialities of life become, it just hangs on us. We can never overcome until unless we raise even a bit of this knowledge. As Sri Krishna said, Salpam apyasya dharmasya, Salpam, very little of this knowledge, this dharma. Trayate mahato bhayat, from the great fear. It will help us. So the Upanishad takes the alpa, this small jiva, the finite jiva, from the sense-bound world to the joys of infinitude. Then what happens? Both ignorance and its effect is completely destroyed when we realize our true nature as Atmans. And this knowledge is liberation itself. Because you're not going to attain something. You understand, you realize that you are vast, one infinite being. There's nothing else apart from you. This knowledge, and this knowledge will make us fearless, abhayam. When Janaka attained knowledge, Yajnavalkya said, Abhayam vai prapto se Janaka. Oh Janaka, you have attained fearlessness itself. When you understand there's nobody else other than you, what fear, what delusion, what sorrow can be there? For whose sake you have to feel? You are the one. So this vast ideas, you want to meditate for few minutes on this daily is so wonderful. It's so elevating. So though a person still living in this body, working of the prarabdha karma is there, but he becomes Jivan Mukta, free while living itself. There are many great people still living, still they are working. And how do they spend their time? Thought waves, positive waves, thoughts they are sending to the world, and love, compassion, feeling. These are the positive ideas we get. That's how the world is still sustaining itself. There are great many people unknown, white, who have realized these values, and they contribute to the well-being of this universe in their own way. 8. Saying this, the Upanishad finally once more tries to describe as the nature of the reality, because it is so subtle, very difficult to grasp. The Upanishads tries to tell us again and again, and repetition is not a what do you call, something wrong in the literature, especially in a spiritual scriptures. It's needed because our minds are very slow in grasping. So repetition becomes not only, it's not faulty, it becomes a necessity too. So the 8th mantra says, Saparyaga, Shukram, Akayam, Avranam, Asnaviram, Shuddham, Apapa Vidham. These are all the epithets. Kavir Manishi, Paribhu, Swayambhu, Ithatatyato Arthan, Vedadhat, Shashvatibhya Samabhya. It is he who pervades all. He who is bright and bodiless, without scar or sinews, pure and by evil unpierced, who is a seer, omniscient, transcendent, and uncreated. He has duly allotted to the eternal world creators their respective duties. He, that, it can be. Who? The all-pervading, the ever-existing. We read it in Katha Upanishad, Swayambhu. So Swayambhu is the self-existent Lord. And how is he? Saparyaghat, all-pervading, everywhere. There's nowhere he is not there. Shukram, luminosity of the self. You see, when a person realizes his true nature, you can see an aura around him. That's what we say when Buddha, Jesus and all we put in. It's really the emanate some sort of brilliance, brightness, which you can, any gross person can make out. They're different. They may not be beautiful, very handsome or anything. No, their beauty is something different. You feel as if they are something bright. And you know, when Swamiji used to stand with so many people, one could make out he's something different. Not that he was very tall and though he was a bit hefty, something not even ordinarily, there were many tall people than him, but he used to, they would feel as if he's something far greater than, brighter than. It was quite dark. But see, this is, even the gross body can show. And when the Atman is the pure awareness, luminosity, whose luminosity illumines this universe. Natatra Suryo Bhati, we read, even the sun doesn't illumine. Sun can illumine only if the Atman illumines it. So that is the meaning of Shukram, bright, luminosity of the pure self. So there are three words, Akayam, Avranam, Asnaviram, and also Shuddham. All these mean, we have three bodies. We have got this gross body, which is this gross body, Annamaya. And then we have the subtle body, which is persistent, which includes mind and intellect and all that. And then we have got the causal body, which is the ego sense, and which covers the self. It's the ignorance which covers. Jnanen ajnanen avritam jnanam tena muhyanti jantavaha, Sri Krishna said in the Gita. Knowledge is covered by ignorance. Hence, the humans suffer. So it is also like a body. Ignorance is called the causal body, Karana Sharira. So all these three. So he is without gross body, not the subtle, nor the causal body. All the three are negated. Who is unpierced by evil? Means, as witness, he is not perturbed. The dharma and adharma, the righteousness, unrighteousness, what is not affecting him, because he stands aside and as an observer, as a sakshi, he stands aside. His mind and intellect become object of perceptions. So he is sakshi, that is why it is called as he is not affected by the evil and the good. He is not elated, nor he is depressed. That is apapa vidham. The sin doesn't touch him because he knows he is the pure awareness itself. He is detached completely. So, and another beautiful epithet given to the Atman is Kavi. Kavi means poet. Poets see much more than what we ordinary people see. They can create a universe of themselves in their imaginations, in their high thinking. So Kavi said, God, Brahman, is Kavi Nam Kavi. Poets of all poets. And this universe is his poetry. Don't ask whether good or bad, he is the poet. And another word for this Kavi is Krantadashi. The capacity to see past, present, and future. Farsightedness. So, Krantadashi, that's an epithet given. And Manishi, Kavir Manishi. See, Kavir Manishi. Manishi means the Isha, the Lord of the mind, the ruler of the mind, controller of them. He has got control over his mind. Omniscient, all-knowing. Paribhu, Swayambhu. Paribhu, all-encompassing. All-encompassing. There's nothing which doesn't come into my embrace. So vast is one's personality, one's being. Yatha tathyato arthan vridadhat sashvatibhya samabhya. See, these epithets may show, these are all the epithets of God, the Lord himself. How can it be? Because we forget our limitation is so, obvious for us. It is so real that we refuse to accept these epithets. Once Atman is realized, Atman and Brahman are one and the same. So all the epithets for Brahman applies for the Atman also. But you are no more the limited creature. You have become infinite. That is why these epithets comes for both Atman or Brahman. It's one and the same. Atman and Brahman are one and the same. Because once I can get rid of this limitation, once the pot is broken, the space in the pot and the space outside becomes one and the same. Then the pot space will not say, oh, no, I am a pot space. I will be always like this. No, the pot has broken. It's gone. You have become one with it. And what belongs to the vast, wider space belongs to you too. And absolutely there is no distinction at all. So that we can understand, but just we cannot understand how it applies to us. So much we are accustomed to our ignorance, our limitations, that we just cannot get rid of those ideas. So Atman is the source of orderliness in this whole nature. And there is order, there is law. Everything in this universe obeys the law. And we as humans also obey the law. We have to. If we don't obey the law, we'll be kicked out. So we have to obey the law. Then you'll ask, then I become a creature. A creature obeys the law. So every creature, everything in this universe obeys that. So I am also one among that. So what makes the difference? In what way am I high? Yeah, we humans are great because we alone are endowed with the capacity to transcend the laws. You can overcome the law, not transgressing, transcending the law. We can transcend the law. There is this innate feeling in us. We are not happy with bondage of any time. Why is there so many movements? Liberation movements. So many. Everyone wants freedom because that freedom is there already in us. It is that freedom which is impelling us, making us to move. How much of freedom we have got? We have worked on all these forces, the powers, and we have got the secrets and we have manipulated them. We are controlling them and we are enjoying more freedom, isn't it? But ultimate freedom comes. A true freedom comes only when we realize the Atman, our infinite nature. So, and how does this laws work? It says Brahman as Rita. Rita, we know Om, Hrim, Ritam, we sing in our bhajan. So the Rita is the truth. And through it, all the Prajapatis means that the forces, divine forces that are working in this universe. So they are allotted. They can never overstep. So for the smooth functioning of this universe, the ocean never exceeds. So all these laws are divine laws. A divine ground is the basis for all these laws. That's what the mantra says. Now, 9, 10, and 11 are the obscure mantras. I will just read the translation and then the summary of it we will discuss. Because the traditions are lost. What Agnihotra meant for Vedic people, it means nothing for us. Now, things have changed. But when the Upanishads have said this, it cannot say something useless things. Upanishads doesn't say. It always has something for somebody, and it has value. But we have deviated, we have gone away from those traditions. So it may mean we may not understand the obscurity of those things, but we can interpret it according to our own need. So thus, Andham tamah pravishyanti ye avidyam upasate tato bhuya ivate tamoya vidyayam rataha. Into a blind darkness they enter who are devoted to ignorance. That's understandable. But into a greater darkness they enter who engage in knowledge alone. That's strange, confusing. The next one, 10. Anyadyevahu vidyaya anyadahur avidyaya iti shushrumadhiranam enastad vidachakshire. One thing they say is obtained from knowledge. True. Another they say from ignorance. Thus we have learned from the wise who have taught us this. See, one peculiarity with these sages is the humility. They never say, I have discovered this truth. No, I. Thus we have heard. They always attribute all this thing to others. That's the humility. You can feel that. Thus we have heard from our teachers. I don't Say now, modern days, they rob the ideas from others. Nothing will be there in that. And then I have written a book and I will publish and say, put my name, big name. Swamiji says, never acknowledging the contributions of others. And they say, I am the cause of this, all these ideas are from me. But whereas the Upanishad seers, they never claimed anything. See how nicely they are saying? Thus have we heard from the wise who taught us. This humility is what we have to learn from the sages. Then 11, mantra 11. Vidyam cha yastad vedo bhayam saha. Avidyaya mrityum tirtva vidyaya amritam ashnute. They who are aware that both knowledge and ignorance should be pursued together. Knowledge and ignorance to be pursued together. Overcome death through ignorance and obtain immortality through knowledge. It is a bunch of confusion or obscure language. So if we read that, we won't be able to understand. Now we have got so many things. Avidya, vidya, mrityu, amrita. These are the 4 words they have used. And what they mean. All these are used in a technical way. These terms are very... Vidya means knowledge. Avidya, ignorance. This is... But in this Upanishad, this means something more profound. When a person worships avidya or ignorance or indulges, he enters blinding darkness. That's fine. It's easily understood. But how can he get into greater darkness if he worships the vidya? That's a bit strange. And then the Upanishad says, the result obtained by vidya is different from the result obtained by avidya. Natural. Knowledge will yield something, ignorance will yield something. That we understand. Okay. And then the final confusion is, by restoring to vidya and avidya together. Can ever it be possible? When knowledge comes, ignorance goes. Where there is light, there is no darkness. This is the general idea we have. But together, what it means. And then one achieves immortality through vidya after overcoming death by means of avidya. So quite a bit of terms are there. We will try to, I follow our elders and how they have taught us, and I try to explain to you in that way. So in many of our Upanishads, the world of change, both in the unmanifest state or manifest state. Manifest state is this world, and unmanifest state is the heavens where we go. So both are called as death. Death is the, because why? There is change and there's ultimate death. That is true, isn't it? All those who are born have to go through this. And go to heaven after enjoyment. Kshine punya martya lokam vishanti, you have to come back. So nothing is permanent. That is why it's called as death. As opposed to the changeless reality behind and beyond this world of change is called as amrita, immortal. So this, for us, vast majority of, if from the standpoint of Vedanta, there are 2 categories of experience. One is self, another is not self. Chit, achit. Chaitanya, consciousness, and matter, unconsciousness, or unaware, no awareness, non-awareness. So these are the 2 categories. But for vast majority of people, the not self is the only reality. This world is the only reality what I know. I have no idea of anything else other than. It's natural with all of us. So this changeless reality, Amritam, is far. And this world of change is what I and you know. But from the standpoint of reality, The Upanishads have already told, Purnamada Purnamidam. All this is verily Atman. This, the Upanishads have given. This is a statement on which we have to work out, on to ponder. So we are aware of only one category, that is the world of not self, non-awareness. So once we plunge into it headlong, try to handle them or get handled by them, this is what happens. We come to enjoy and we are being enjoyed, isn't it? We come to become masters and we become slaves to it. All this technology we have invented so that we can become masters, and how we become slaves. Without that, our days don't go. So this is how it is. So we come to enjoy and we are being enjoyed. We come to handle them and they handle us. This is the fate of humanity. And this non-self, before my birth, with my birth, in my life, with everything, it is there with me, isn't it? The body is the product of karma, ignorance. So I'm born with this. This not self is hanging on me. Life after life, creation after creation, have been thrown again and again into this world of non-self. So this is always hanging on me. This is the only experience I'm having. And all our progress, our social pursuits, our economic plans, all our scientific knowledge, everything is in this not self and this not self. And with all that, still we are not able to understand this, the mystery of this universe. We know nothing about the matter, let alone consciousness. So we are always ignorant. And this ignorance is called as death. This is what the Upanishad means by death. So, and then there are others, very few, who are ready to let go the world of change, the world of death, the not self. And their search is legitimate because they are searching after consciousness, awareness, knowledge, and all that. That's okay. But the Upanishad says that is also inadequate. Greater darkness they are going. Those who pursue knowledge go to greater darkness, it's saying. That means to say it is incomplete. Later on in the Gita, Sri Krishna expands this. So the pursuit of the self is the noblest pursuit. That's understandable. The Upanishads have never, criticized any type of knowledge. They show us their limitations. Showing the limitation is not criticism, not a condemnation. To show that there is better thing. It is only to appreciate and to show something is better than this. That condemnation is. It's not for the sake of condemnation, they don't condemn. Because when we do Saraswati Puja, we keep all the books, we keep the musical instruments, everything, whatever books are there. One small incident I'll tell you. One of our devotees, son, a schoolboy, all have gone to play in the ground. And the teacher, he wanted to show the difference between how people look at things and the culture and there are values. So what he did was, he put a book or something near the door where the students enter. He threw it there. He just kept it there. And the boys started coming after one by one. So everyone saw that, and then just this went by side. All the boys. And last one boy came. He saw it. He took it. He touched it to his forehead and went and kept it on that. That's the difference. Whatever may be the book, it is knowledge. Some knowledge is coming. So that is how, even, if we stamp newspapers, our parents used to scold us. Saraswati, bow down, touch. So we used to do it like this. So this is the thing. The Upanishads never criticize any such or not, but it shows its limitation. But you have the capacity to achieve more. Why do you hang on this? This is what they mean. So here, both the pursuits are noble. It's noblest and noble. And they yield different results. That's true. The Upanishad knows that we can gather richer harvest of spirituality by cultivating both the fields, both the fields. If you work on both fields, the not self and the self, you will have a richer harvest of spirituality, greater character and personality. All this is there. That is, but when it is, so this capacity, the pursuit of non-self, the material world or the world around us, when we perceive it, we get power, isn't it? We solve many of our problems. We get control over it. Like now there is a tsunami or a cyclone coming. Immediately we can alert and so much of life can be saved. Isn't it that good? It's there's only a lunatic will say that this knowledge are no knowledge. No, these are necessary. But what the Upanishads say, if further when we go with this knowledge, or when this knowledge is perceived in exclusion, in isolation with the other knowledge, the knowledge of the self, it will be the greatest folly of mankind. We know how much exploitation nations do for nations. We are seeing countries doing for countries. Why? I have got more power. And I do not know how to if I do not know how to manipulate this power, the power will manipulate me. So instead of getting this science and technology and all that and having good life, more life, it will be more death and death. And that's what we are seeing. So that is why Upanishad says, if you do anything at the cost of your spiritual nature, ignoring your spiritual nature, then it's a folly. So increase in knowledge, will be danger until and unless there is an increase in wisdom. Wisdom and knowledge are not two same thing. They are different. So this is what actually these 3 mantras mean for us from the standpoint of our. It might have meant something for our ancestors, but this is what it means for this. So that's why Sri Ramakrishna and Shankaracharya says, the world of change becomes divested of reality when isolated from the changeless Atman. It becomes zero. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, zeros by themselves have no value. Put a digit, 1, then all the zeros will carry value. And the more zeros you add, the more it becomes significant and meaningful. It enriches, it becomes great. So constant awareness of our true self is the most essential thing. That should be the priority of our life. And everything should be insubordinate to this. No one is asking us to become aloof and world negating people. No, we don't deny the world. We affirm the world in the Atman. Sri Ramakrishna's disciple, Swami Turiyananda, was there. From the childhood, he was dedicated to Vedanta. Such a pure soul. Young, even in his pre-teens, he had studied the Upanishads and he wanted to build his life on that. That was his foundation for his life. Such a wonderful person. And he was dedicated to Vedanta and to the Advaita Vedanta. In the end, and at the last moment of his death, he didn't say Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. Brahman is real, world is unreal. He didn't say that. Brahma Satya, Jagat Satya. Jagat Brahme Pratishtita. Brahman is real. The world is real. Because the world is established in Brahman. Apart from the reality, Brahman, the world will not. The world is real because the reality, Brahman, is the substratum of this universe. So that was the great declare. He said this and he passed away. So this people have lived this truths, a richer life, and have imparted this knowledge to us. It's our duty to never forget the ever-present Atman in us and to conduct our life that we express these truths in our life. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Sridharaprana ji. And we have some time for question, answer, discussion. We've got a roving mic here. Can be passed around for anyone who would like to ask a question.
Questions can be there. Everything is being told.
Pranam Madhuji, the last 3 words which you've given, I still don't get the difference between ignorance and knowledge. Because what I understand, what about Vijnana? Vijnana is experiencing the Brahman actually. So in this case, it is talking about the normal people, is it?
This is, Vijnana is an higher realization.
Yes.
When you realize the Atman, the world doesn't remain as world. You see something different. You see as pulsating with consciousness. That is Vijnana.
So this is talking about the normal people.
No, this is given to ordinary people like us, for whom the world is real. The world is real for us. Ajnana. We haven't touched the
Vijnana.
Jnana through knowledge. We haven't. The moment we get it, then we understand this is not, our perception changes, completely changes. And instead of seeing devil, we see God. Instead of seeing matter, we see consciousness. So that is Vijnana. Sri Ramakrishna says, when steps are not the terrace, steps are steps, terrace is terrace. Steps are made out of stone, cement, concrete, all that. And you walk on it. And when you go to terrace, the terrace is also made of the same concrete, cement, sand, everything as the steps are made. So when we start slowly evolving, we know one is matter, one is spirit. So we are slowly removing the matter consciousness, matter, and trying to concentrate on the awareness of consciousness. But when we reach the climax, to the ultimate, to the jnana, we see that alone is there. Purnamada, Purnamidam. So through and through the spirit, the universe is spiritual. That becomes Vijnana. You don't see the world as, we don't see matter and spirit together.
No.
Isn't it? So our perception, the world might be there for others. To me, it has changed. So Sri Ramakrishna says the rope has burnt. The rope shape is there, but it cannot bind. So my ignorance can never be there. I may have some residues of karma, which is prarabdha karma, which is going, but I have become a Jivan Mukta. I see everything pulsating with consciousness. So then only genuinely we can say, your suffering is my suffering. This empathy and all big words we use, those can be true only when you have some experience of this higher experience.
So what about actually, according to the Saranda Ji's translation, it talks about rituals.
No, I have completely ignored that.
Different,
yeah, that it doesn't mean anything.
I don't understand.
Neither you are sitting and doing any ritual, nor anybody is here who does hours of meditation.
We don't have the knowledge to do the ritual.
So there's no need. Ritual belongs to the plane of matter. So when we know that there is consciousness and that we can, so why don't we go for higher? We don't have to stick to the lower forms. We don't deny The rituals have their meaning, they have their values at another lower level. But by the grace of God, by the teachings, grace of the teachings of the rishis, we have learned, we have, what do you call, we have overcome, or we have transcended that stage. So we don't have to worry about the rituals or anything. Meditation you can take. We do meditation on that. Now, for example, if you start meditating only Sri Ramakrishna as the priests in the Dakshineshwar, living in, who had a cancer, if you contemplate on these things, you will also remain there only, nothing will be there. So we concentrate on Sri Ramakrishna as a Saguna Brahma, Brahman with attributes. Isn't it?
So how do you differentiate with the darkness and greater darkness? How do you differentiate?
Darkness is darkness.
Yeah.
And greater darkness, if greater darkness, if the knowledge doesn't expand you.
Greater darkness.
Holy Mother says, you know, the ego of sadhu is dangerous than anyone else. See, sadhu's ego has to go away. But if the sadhu prides, I am a sadhu, they didn't come and do pranam. No, they didn't bow down to me. What has happened? I have won Girva. Instead of liberating me from my limitations, it's putting me all the more limitations. I go into a greater darkness if I don't understand. Very few of them raise to that. So instead, I take both the help of knowledge and the not self and the not self, and improve myself and raise above. This is what the Upanishad wants to. Everybody cannot go for the higher realizations. It's difficult. Spirituality is very handful. And what will you feed all this? So Upanishad gives better alternatives. Sri Krishna has elaborated this in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, what is jnana? Kshetra, kshetrajna. Knowledge of the self and the knowledge of the not self constitute the total knowledge.
Yes.
Complete knowledge. It's not the partial knowledge. Kshetra kshetrajnayor jnanam ettat jnanam matam mama. According to me, knowledge of the self and the knowledge of the non-self constitute the true knowledge. That is the blunder which we India did. So much of importance to the otherworldliness. We ignored the world. That's why people came and conquered us. Too much of otherworldliness. Didn't learn the art of protecting ourselves. So we became subjugated. That's what Swamiji says in his complete works. Just for a handful of spiritualists, why should the whole nation suffer? The nation needs at least a toned down materialism. He spoke that time. Now it's full of materialism. That's different. But he said India needs a toned down materialism. And all are not for spiritual greatness. So even seeing the spiritual person, an ordinary person wants to benefit. He's not prepared for that. And what happens? In the name of religion, he practices meditation, he goes into tamas. And that's how the whole nation was in tamas. That's why Swamiji said, can you tell lie? Better learn to tell lie. You're so weak, you can't even tell a lie. And Swamiji said, instead of sitting and reading Bhagavad Gita, go and play football. Why? Muscles are strong, should be strong. Only then you can fight. How many forces the India had to fight with? How much of 1,000 years of slavery we had to go through? Why? All because we were weak. We ignored. Oh, spirituality, renunciation. I don't say they have, but it's not for all. A combination of spirituality and because the world is real for you. You have to equip yourself with both knowledge. This is what the Upanishad meant. The Upanishads have given. It was our foolishness. We didn't understand them. The Upanishads never negated, never denied, never condemned the knowledge of the world. Aparavidya. It's aparavidya. Lower knowledge. But if we need lower knowledge in order to raise. Swamiji said, empty stomach is not good for religion. Day and night, if I have to suffer to meet the two ends, how am I going to think of higher things? So these are all, this is called as hunger is death, isn't it? How many people, how many are dying, just want of food? That's death. This is a world of death. This is ignorance. So this mantra is very deep. We will not confine it to the rituals or meditations on the deities. They have no meaning for us. Our elders have interpreted in this way, and I abide with that. And it's very convincing. It is emotionally satisfying, and intellectually it is convincing, and I have ample of opportunity to serve with my hands. My head and heart and hands are full with this interpretation. And these interpretations are given by our elders.
Thanks.
There's nothing more.
By the way, those who have joined us via Zoom, I'm allowing you to unmute yourselves now. Security settings gone, so you can jump in and ask a question too. You're welcome.
Thank you, Mataji. I just very much interested for this part of the Upanishad. And before coming, I was just thinking. And now after your explanation, there's 3 questions. And I'm starting from the 3rd question, then coming to the first one. So 3rd question, Vidya and Abhidya, Mritu, these things is very, very hard to understand.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's
Very
hard. Apart from these 3 mantras and the other 3 mantras next month, these 6 mantras are a bit difficult to understand.
Yes.
And I was thinking how to make it explainable, understandable.
Yes. And there he says, you have to go good, you have to do bad. And then mixing.
No, it is not saying you have to do bad. It is not saying you have to do bad. There is nothing bad. Ignorance is here. What ignorance means is not self. Not self.
Okay.
There is no place. You see, for yesterday we had been to somebody's house and they showed us a video. And in that, a student about God. So, what's your view? Should we invent God or discover God? And the girl says, God was never there. There is no question of discovery is something is there, was there, and you didn't know, you unveil it, you discover it. But invention is something which is not there, you bring it into existence. So God was never there. And where is the question of discovering him? So this is the idea they have. Because they think their body, mind, intellect, this world is self-sufficient. This is called as ignorance. This is with no reference to the consciousness, with no reference to the awareness, with no reference to changeless reality behind. How can anything remain? The river keeps on flowing. No man steps into the same river twice, understandable. But there is a bed underneath which holds the flowing river. If that is not there, where can the question of river flow come? It's true. No one steps in the same water. Life is continuously moving, like how the Vijnanavadins Buddhists say. Understandable, true. Everything is empty. Who is feeling the emptiness? Who is experiencing the emptiness? Understandable. Emptiness is fine. Okay, there's nothing, everything is empty. But who is experiencing the emptiness? There should be a positive entity. So, bereft of the self, bereft of the consciousness, awareness, no, there can never be any existence. So, a self-sustaining world, bereft of consciousness, is a myth. It's illogical. That is what he's saying. But at the same time, you are very conscious of this world. You're very conscious of that. You cannot negate the world. I can never say the world never exists. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, the pin has pricked, blood is oozing. Then you say, no, where there's no pain, there's nothing. This is hypocrisy. I feel the pain. So, we are in between knowledge and ignorance. Our state is such. We are very conscious of our ignorance, the world. At the same time, we are not aware of the reality, but at the same time, we cannot ignore the presence of. Do you understand? This is called as. We are in between, neither this way nor that way. So this combining together means you take all that is needed from this world and to promote your spirituality and the well-being of all your beings. If you exclude, I'm by myself, and self-interest will come. How each, see, in a macrocosm state, like me and you, if we ignore somebody, nothing, it matters nothing. And if I become spiritual and embrace everybody within my awareness, the world is not recognizing. But when it comes to nation, the whole nation, when it becomes materialist, Swamiji, when he was coming from America, the second time, he went to Germany. He said, Germany is bubbling with this power. The state of Germany, he didn't feel good. What happened, you saw? See, he could feel the vibrations, the whole race becoming materialist. And this materialism may bring evil, exclusiveness, exploitation. All these are the result of exclusively being materialist, isolating matter from spirit. That is why recognize difference is there. All this is there. Huh?
So the second question was 6 and 8, because first six is saying that you be
Yes.
within all, and second is 8 is saying you need this quality. So I got the answer because when you explain this last question, my third question, it automatically.
Yes, the sixth
Yes.
question, what you meant is the
Oh,
real
sorry.
knowledge. When you realize yourself,
Yes.
how great your happiness
Mm.
will be. Can we imagine a state where we can have absolutely no hatred or anything, all love and love and love? What an exalted state is. Even to think it's let alone experiencing, even to think of it. How much respect, how much love we give for Dalai Lama. Why? He has that love, he has that compassion. See? And don't we covet these things? We would love to have. We all want to become. So this is the joy. Even one person becomes like this. What a blessing it is to the society, to the race. And even bit of this knowledge, if we can just go deeper, we can see there is unity. And even intellectual understanding of this will alleviate so much of suffering and differences in the world. So that is why it is pointing out, you are capable of getting this. Don't get stuck. You are capable of, you have got all the necessity things.
Thank you. Because when
And the other one that you said, those epithets, what I said,
Yes.
these are not commandments. These are the when a man becomes, or when person becomes aware of his infinite existence, this is how, these are the qualities, these are, it becomes his very nature. But now what we can do is we can practice this as a sadhana. We can take this and try to, for example, many times, sometimes when I cannot get get along with some person, when it becomes very difficult, then I start reciting mentally these two mantras. Sarva bhuteshu chatmanam tato na vijigupsate. Yasmin sarvani bhutanatmeva bhut tatra ko moha kashoka. Why should I be deluded? So I keep on reciting, and that intensity of that, not, I don't say hatred, irritation, I reduce it because it's not given into my experience. So I recite again and again, and I make myself do. There's nobody there. It's you alone. If you are irritable, because you are the very irritation. So like that, we practice little in our own way, and we overcome. Then I have a smile on my face, and I can talk to that person. Or I would have even ignored and scolded that person and gone. This happens. This happens. Until and unless we have it as a matter of experience, we have to hold on to this. So all this we put effort and acquire these qualities. They are not actually qualities. They are the very nature of the person. Then it becomes spontaneous. Spontaneity is the result. The effort is struggle, practice, sadhana, and you become siddha, spontaneous. Naturally, these things come. So these are for us to learn.
Thank you, Mataji.
Sorry. Yeah, Vanita, I saw you had your hand up, so please.
Thank you, Robert. Pranams, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. I just got one question where you mentioned to visualize Sri Ramakrishna as Saguna Brahman. Could you please explain a little bit more? So is it okay to constantly have his form as part of the vision and like in the heart? Because in a sense, Saguna Brahman is formless. So
no. It has attributes. It may not have form, but it has attributes.
okay.
And so that is why we are asked to meditate on the luminous form. This is one way you can do it. Luminous form.
Okay.
Luminosity.
Okay.
So that will be a great help. Meditating on Sri Ramakrishna as a luminous
Okay.
person. And that way you can work. This one thing you can do. And as we go on with our meditation itself will reveal us.
Okay.
Yeah. Sagun Sakar form, but that form is not the concrete form. That's what I said, luminous form. Instead of thinking, pondering on the flesh and bone, he's full of light. This
Okay.
might.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji.
As we say, the Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya. Now we are living in the world where we have to satisfy our desires. It means providing the foods and everything. So unless it is first satisfied our needs, whether Brahman is Satya or no, you can't strive for that, and it is difficult to achieve.
Yes. Upanishads understand, as long as this world is real for you, as long as this world is real, you have to pursue. You have to be in this world. You cannot say this world is unreal and go empty stomach, wife and children, what will they do? Isn't it? So this world is real. As long as this world is real, that is why the Upanishads ask us to work for it. Work. But with this, simultaneously, along with this, the knowledge, this is not the everything. There is something more. There's something more. This whole universe, me, my body, everything is existing because of the self. Ultimately, it is the one thing. My wife, my children, my family, my body, nothing will stay. I alone stay. In my awareness, all this is happening. My awareness is the fundamental. And when that awareness ceases, this body is becoming matter. So little bit of this knowledge, it will not make you possessive to deviate from the path of dharma. will make you more unselfish, more purer, more tending towards spirituality. And this will enable you slowly to raise above mundane things. And a time will come when you can completely hand over the rest. That is why, there's a gradation. You learn these values in the brahmacharya. Yes, you have this body, mind, you have got desires, you enter into the grahastha and you fulfill all the laws have to be fulfilled. Laws have to be fulfilled. And then you simultaneously you learn to detach little along with this, because you have got the knowledge in brahmacharya period during the study. You have got the fundamental theoretical knowledge is there, but you have certain needs to be done. There are some urges in us for which we enter into grihastha's life, accepted. It is Shri Krishna has told, dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatashrava. I am the legitimate desire in man, which is not opposed to dharma. So there's nothing wrong in it. But along with that, if I don't learn this culture, higher knowledge, which you had learned in your brahmacharya period and the student age, that will help you slowly to detach. So by the time you come to 60, 65, you are ready for vanaprastha. So you give the responsibility for the no more children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. You don't have to worry about it. You have taught the children what is good, what is bad. You have kept them economically, they are well off. Now it's your business. Till the last breath of your life, you don't have to bother about your sons and grandsons and other things. But when will you go about yourself? If you lose yourself, there's nothing else. So self-culture, you got a time for your self-culture. This is not selfishness or anything. This will give you help. Even your siblings, your children, your grandchildren, they get the path. This is how gracefully we detach and come out, and one fine day you will not have any other chinta other than Brahman chinta. That's the fourth. So these things are made slowly to raise us. Brahmacharya, grahastha. In grahastha ashrama, so much of sacrifice, detachment we learn. If a child is given chocolate first, he'll put in the mouth. But a mother will not put. Mother will tell, I'll take half of it for my child. I have seen people come, we give this coconut balls to the devotees. The mothers keep little bit. Why? For children. See? The thought of the children is, this is how the renunciation, this is how the sacrifice starts. So I think of my children, tomorrow I can think of my neighbors, and tomorrow I can think of the society, for the community, and that's how we raise. Slowly, inch by inch, little by little, we conquer ourselves, our lower self, our selfishness, and then we raise naturally.
Thank you.
Was over? Right?
Thank you, Mataji, for a very enlightening lecture. There's an English band called King Crimson who, in the lyrics of one of their songs, was knowledge is a deadly friend if no one sets the rules. So would wisdom be the rules?
Wisdom?
Yeah, or well, wisdom being a sort of the spiritual side of things that it's like
Yeah, wisdom is acquired with great difficulty.
it's like what I made a note here. It said wisdom is knowing what to properly do with knowledge. So the spiritual framework around it. Like, for example, with artificial intelligence, we could develop artificial intelligence thinking that that somehow makes life easier. But if it backfires, we could be in serious trouble. And there's numerous science fiction movies that have shown us exactly what happens if it runs amok. So we can't just have knowledge on its own. It's got to be something that frames it and controls it.
Wisdom is something, what I'm speaking is a self-culture, wherein when you attain wisdom, the problems are solved automatically. The problems never remain the problems if you have the wisdom, proper wisdom. Nothing becomes difficult and you know how to handle it. Because wisdom is acquired with great difficulty, with culture, self-culture. You have worked on yourself. So the hard part of it is gone. Then you reap the fruit, which is wisdom, which will bring love, peace, everything. So wisdom will never be painful. Knowledge may be painful, but wisdom is always blessing. Because you have learned it, you have got it, you have got through your experience, and which you will never lose. Nothing can take away, because it's your own, and you become it. You become the very embodiment of the wisdom what you have. So there's a difference between wisdom and knowledge. So knowledge can put us into danger, but wisdom will never. Yeah, you may say. You may say. It's not even controlling. It's not even controlling. So wisdom is such a thing. Wisdom is such a thing that you at least the person, subjectively I'm saying, you're far above the problem. Your wisdom will keep you far above. What it may mean to others, I don't know. But personally, subjectively, you're far above the problems. That peace can never be disturbed by anything. So that is the knowledge, and that is the wisdom, which is acquired through discipline, culture, constant exploring, with all that. Once it's very difficult to acquire, but once acquired, it is yours forever. Nothing can take away. I think we have finished. Thank you.
So thanks very much for that, Sridharaprana, having to navigate through some very obscure verses and help us to comprehend what they mean. There'll be one more talk in this series next month. And then after that, Sridharaprana will give some talks on the Kena Upanishad. That'll be coming up next. One more talk will finish the Isha Upanishad. Next Sunday, Gayatri will be speaking on practice of peacefulness. We've got the Friday night discussion coming up. We're continuing, and we've just started on, as of last discussion, spiritual evening discussion, Divyananda Pranaji's book on self-development. So we're starting to make our way through that. So you're welcome to attend that. Self-discovery, yeah. And we have donation play at the mission box off the back. And we'll look forward to having you join us next Sunday and Friday night too, if you can.